For today's class, we're trying to decide whether or not John should be hired for this job, where he took a survey of 100 students, and we're going to try and find out whether or not he did his calculations correctly. So to start off, we're going to draw a big box and put the number total just as a reminder that at the end, everything should add up to 100 because that's how many he interviewed. So we know that he interviewed them whether or not they were in 3 subjects. So we're going to draw kind of a Venn diagram to compare them all. So we know he was in math, chem, and physics. And so the information that we want to look for right away is information that doesn't affect the other numbers. So that can be, we're going to start with the 10 students that were not involved in any of them. And we're just going to put that in the middle because they're still part of the 100 in the survey, but it won't affect whether or not they were in 1, 2, or all 3 subjects. So we're going to put that right away. The next that we can include right away is the number of students that were involved in all 3 subjects. So from the information we're given, we know that 8 students took all 3 subjects. That's going to go right here in the middle because it's still involved in all 3 of the circles for a Venn diagram. For the next step, what we do is look for the number of students that were involved in 2 subjects. So to start, we know that 20 took math and chemistry. So for the math and chemistry, there were 20 altogether, but of that 20, 8 were involved in all 3. So we'll have to subtract that from the 20 to find out how many were in just the math and chem, which ends up to be 12. And then we're going to do that with the other numbers as well. So we also know that 15 took chemistry and physics. So 15 were for this number and this combined, but of that 15, 8 were in all 3. So we'll do the same thing where we subtract 8 from 15, and we find out that 7 were involved in the chemistry and physics. Lastly, for the number of students in 2 subjects, we know that 10 of them took math and physics. So same thing, of the math and physics, 8 were involved in all 3. So then we get 2 were only involved in math and physics. Now to find out how many were only in math, chem, and physics without the other subjects combined, we have to do a little rearranging. So we know that this whole circle is the number for all the total math. And we know that altogether 45 students took math, but that doesn't include the ones that were in other subjects as well. So what we have to do is subtract the ones from the little numbers and subtract it from the total number who took math. So we know that 12 plus 8 plus 2 will give us 22. And we'll have to subtract that from the 45, which then ends up to be 23 students were in math only. And then we're going to do the same thing for chem and physics. So for chem, we want to subtract all of this added together from the total, which the book tells us is 40 took chemistry altogether. So we'll do 8 plus 12 plus 7. So that would be 15 plus 12, which is going to give us 27 altogether for the combined, and then subtract that from the total in chemistry, which is 40, and we're going to end up with 13 were in only chemistry. And now last, for the physics part of our diagram, we know that 47 took physics altogether, but then we need to do the same thing where we subtract all of this. So we get 7 plus 8 plus 2, which is 17, and that's what we're going to subtract from the 47, which is a total, and that gives us 30. So now we know all the information that we need to know to find out whether or not it equals 100. So we need to add up all of these numbers, including the 10 on the outside, because it's still part of the students. So we get 10 plus 30 plus 7 plus 8 plus 2 plus 23 plus 12 plus 13, which ends up to be 105. Therefore, we can conclude that 105 is not the same as 100. So somewhere along the problem, John did something wrong in his calculations and ended up with 105 instead of 100. So we think John should not be hired for this job. Thank you.